Afternoon, gents. Thanks for joining us for another episode of FGS TV. Always good. Well, I think it's good. I hope it's good anyway. This one we have touched on before, but I think it's such an important subject and so many people do not take it seriously. It's what the industry call brand protection. It's what you might see as grey kit, broker kit, unauthorised kit. They're the three terms. And I think one of the issues out there is everybody thinks they don't buy it because the partner they use, I've used for a long time and they don't buy it. Yeah. With about 35% of all the equipment sold out there being this, you do buy it, is really what we're going to get across. So I think today with Jonathan and Jonathan here, who both been in the industry many, many years, with Jonathan Phillips is not as old as that, so been about 9 years, I think. So from a boy, we've seen this, we've seen the dangers of it. So I want to go through the dangers of it, guys, and then how you spot it and how you stop it, because you know, as you two are aware, we don't touch it, we don't go near it, but it's so simple for us to spot it when other people are bidding. Yeah, it's so simple. But how do you get it across to people? So first, I'll probably go to you. I'm gonna, JP and JK, we're going to go because you're both Jonathans, yeah? and people can't hear the difference in the spelling, yeah? So I'm going to go JP. What is unauthorised broker grey kit? What is it? Where's it come from?
Well, it's obviously hardware that's come from unauthorised distribution channels. So often it might be overruns from bids. So a customer might say, right, okay, we need X amount of servers. So as obviously the reseller, we go out and bid 50 servers for them, whatever that figure is. And then we might have other resellers that go and bid 50, but actually the customer turns around and says, oh, we only need 45 units, and then those 5 units become redundant and somehow go out into the broker channel. So the brokers will offer other partners a fixed price for these additional pieces of hardware, and then they go into the broker market and get offered out via non-certified HP partners,
or certified, yeah.
And then they're untrackable basically. And if that serial number isn't registered to the person or the company that bid's been raised against, they're effectively, or the customer, that end user is unsupported by that vendor.
Right. Okay. So thanks ever so much, JP. So this is stuff that is proper HP. It's not counterfeit. We're talking the majority of it, though there is some counterfeit out there, which we have experienced. But it's bought from not the right channels for distribution. Yeah, and so there might be. So the distribution channels, we're not talking official distribution. We're talking broker distribution, aren't we? So it's bought from somewhere else. Now, one of the reasons I think this is getting even worse, not this episode of SGS TV, that get worse. Yeah, one of these get worse is the availability out there is shocking in the industry. You know, we can be 5-6 months before things are delivered, and so it makes these things are in stock. So it makes it that much more attractive. And so it's I can't see this getting better for a long time and see it getting worse. So JK, over to you. So what do you think what would a client potentially have an issue? Where's the risk that they're taking, that they're probably unaware?
Yeah, so there is there could be technical risks with the equipment. With the parts, because the parts might not be official parts, so that does happen within the official channel. So you do find that there are counterfeit memory modules, for example. So that's a risk.
Modules, but not HPE, for example.
Absolutely, yeah. They've kind of been branded up to make them look like the right thing, or they might be hard disks or SSDs that are put into HPE carriers, so into the physical carriers that go in the server, but the drive itself isn't a HPE drive. So it's very difficult, though, for the person to spot it. But you'll also find that there are that there are certain legal and compliance issues with these things. So JP mentioned that it's an overage on a bid. Well, a lot of this stuff is bought by the original supplier with on a supply contract, on an agreement that those goods are only to be used with that particular customer. So to be used with the end user on the bid.
Let's make this into real. So say I'm going to use a big company because it's clearly not them. I can use a real name, like Barclays Bank.
Yep.
Look to buy 50. Actually, the bid says 100. There's 50 then go into unauthorised channel. Yeah. So they've got Barclays' name on them. Barclays never bought them. Barclays done nothing wrong. They don't even know that those extra 50 or 5, as JP's example was. So they're out there somewhere else now with a broker. Yeah.
Indeed. So someone at some point has defrauded Hewlett-Packard Enterprise because they've obtained a discount on these items that they weren't entitled for.
Yeah.
And in effect, you would be party to that fraud because you're involved with that product. Because you've purchased it, you don't know its provenance, you're kind of ignorant of its provenance, but ignorance isn't an excuse usually. The fact that you've got this item, you are party to someone taking advantage of a pricing scheme or a pricing system or a pricing contract that they weren't supposed to be involved in. Yeah. That's at its worst, but the serial numbers in most cases are tracked. So if the vendor sells it from the factory, those serial numbers will be tracked all the way through the supply chain to the first supplier, the official distributor, because they're used as part of the claiming process. So those serial numbers will be logged in their system as being sold to that end customer. And what can happen is you go to get support on it, you put the serial number into the support portal, and it comes up linked to a contract. Yeah. It's linked to a Barclays contract. Then when you're trying to get your support on the item, you're having to go through...
Where you put a ticket in, yeah?
Putting a ticket in, absolutely. But we're not Barclays Bank. Well, the goods are with Barclays Bank. No, the goods are with us. And then you're going to have to try and unravel that right at the point where you probably need HPE support to give you the assistance and to get the part out immediately to replace the broken one. You could end up with a week of going backwards and forwards and escalating and arguing with the supplier who, funnily enough, not answering the phone now. They were very quick to pick up the phone when you needed something, when you needed to buy it, but not now you've got an issue.
What about this then? That is if you're buying, say, a server. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the serial number you put the call in. Tell you where I'm seeing it, and I have seen it very recently. The manufacturers, like HPE, Lenovo, Dell, all of them, they'll sell things like optics or HBAs, at, I won't say criminal prices, because that would be wrong, at very high prices compared with what's out there, These optics are made by X, and so the HP price or the Lenovo price might be 1,000, but the price out there in the market for third party, whatever, might be 100, We are seeing this a lot. Now, that is almost impossible to trace, is it not? HBAs and optics. So for example, someone's done a bid, and I won't say Barclays, I'll use another one this time. Let's go down the banking route. HSBC have bought 100 optics, and there's 1,000 on the bid. 900 have gone out there. They've been discounted down so heavily because it's 1,000, and now they're out there. So surely that can't be found out. They haven't got serial numbers on.
I think the SFPs, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, I'm sure they still have serial numbers.
They do. I'd say probably 90 to 95% of Hewlett-Packard Enterprise products are serial number tracked. You might have the odd cable or something that doesn't get tracked, or it hasn't been tracked because the distributor, it hasn't appeared on the invoice to the distributor. But so typically the serial numbers are tracked. The problem you've got if you're the person buying that, is you don't have a way to track the serial number until it's too late, until you've actually got the product and you've got a problem with it. So you're not going to know until well after the fact that you've got an issue.
And there's the issue of, on that point, looking at a component level, having mixed systems. So it could be the case where everything within that server is official HPE hardware.
Yeah.
There's a possibility where actually the SSDs, the drives, or the memory within that configuration could be from brokerage. So it's quite often the case as a salesperson, you're up against another reseller, and you're quoting line for line exactly the same components, but the customer is looking at two completely different prices, or I can see in the channel that there's none of these 800 gig SSD drives or whatever it is across official distribution channels, and then we've got the customer saying, hang on a minute, no, we've got another partner that says that they're available and they're half the price of yours. Well, that to me just screams that it's not coming from an official distribution channel. So it does.
I'm going to hone down on this one actually, JP. So how do you spot it? I mean, you've been selling for a few years now. That was a great way. You said you've spotted it. So go through some of the ways you think, and I've got a few things that you think you spot it against somebody. When you're bidding, someone's come in and said, right, I want some storage, which tends to be more difficult to broker, I feel. Right, they've got 10 servers. Someone wants 10 servers, and that's 200 grand. So there you go. That's the situation. You can't spend that. And how would you spot if you're up against somebody who's in broker?
Yes, there's two things that I would notice straight away. And it would be around lead times and pricing. That would be the first two, without having to make any calls or anything like that. If the customer comes back and says you're 30-40% out, that sort of thing, it's that it's not official. And if the customer comes back and says, oh, we've got someone that can get all of the hardware here tomorrow, again, that's not possible either. So it just can't happen. So those would be triggers in my mind straight away. But the only way to 100% guarantee that it's not official is speaking to the vendor account manager. So I would go to customer X's HP account manager, drop them a call, describe the opportunity, explain what's going on, and hopefully there's no one else involved in the opportunity, and they say, it's just FGS that have created the official bid. At that point, I know that it's not possible for any other partner to provide official pricing to the end user. And that's the way that the customer can ensure that they're purchasing from official channels. Obviously, buying through FGS, they know that's a guarantee. If they ever wanted to check someone else or check another partner, the only way that you can ever guarantee it is talking to your aligned HP account manager and basically ask them, who can you confirm or tell me which resellers are quoting this opportunity? And they should tell you there's 2 or 3, or all of the resellers you've asked. And if they come back and there's only one on a list of 2 or 3 that you've asked, then that should raise alarm bells.
So a customer, it's quite difficult for customers, because whenever I bring it up to a customer, absolute carte blanche. No, we've dealt with them for ages, we trust them. And you're thinking, it's not a real good reason, but it's very difficult, because you're almost accusing, in their mind, you're saying they're not doing their job correctly. So it's a very, very hard one. Very few times have I ever got over where I've convinced them that it's not.
Well, you can't spot it either. So it arrives and it's packaged exactly the same. It's it is exactly. It appears identical when it arrives on site. It's very. Those negative connotations behind broken. If it's broken, it must arrive plain box with loads of tape around it and it's all damaged, all that sort of stuff. I think people expect it to be, for want of a better word, dodgy. It's not. It looks the same and appears the same. That's why it catches
it's
so
not
many
like a
people
duck,
out.
is it? If it looks the same, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it is a duck. This looks the same, feels the same, but isn't the same. Because it's broken. So it's a different than the duck analogy. Yeah,
it is. I was just going to say the other thing that I would look out for is if the supplier is reluctant to offer HPE care packs or services on their quotes, or they try to push their own services. When you say, well, can I have a 24/7? They say, no, we'll give you our service on it. That is always something that needs to be looked into, because they could be doing it for their own, it could be good reasons behind it. But I would suggest if they're cheap and they're saying don't take any services with it, it's because they don't want to have to get anything registered early days, or they can't get access to the care packs, and that is, it's not universal, but it can give the game away sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just putting this here. Just write a few things down.
And one way, because it is as JP said, it's difficult to spot this until you've got it, until it's turned up, and you've tried to register it against support, or you've tried to get a support call against the kit. You haven't got a way to check the serial number back through the system. But what you can do is if you are dealing with one of these suppliers who says, I have got this product in stock. So that means they've got it in a warehouse, they've got the physical item. Say to them, what we require from you are the serial numbers ahead of time, so we can pre-populate our systems, because it's going into a data center and we need to update our assets. So you should be able to do that because you've got the physical asset available for us. You can then take that to a proper supplier, an official supplier like FGS. We can provide those serial numbers back into the account manager, who will check them. They put them in HP's system, and it will show the journey that serial number has taken.
Only if you can get those serial numbers.
It is, but my tip for getting it is tell that supplier that before you give them the PO, you need to know your serial numbers, or before you ship them, you need the serial numbers for your internal processes.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Now, because we know a major West Essex house builder, very big, they buy HP servers throughout. We spoke to the HP account manager and they said they've never bought one. But because HPE don't know the serial numbers, and this house builder aren't going to give us the serial numbers because we don't know them well enough. And when we say to them, these are all broker, no, they're not. We've dealt with them for years. You're thinking, and the risk you're putting your own business in, it's ridiculous. Just to save yourself a few pounds, or sometimes just get them quicker. But I get it. Once you've got a relationship with a partner, you think they're trustworthy because you drink with them, you do whatever you like, and you talk about football or cricket or or theatre or whatever. You've got friends with these people. They're nice people. Most people in the world are nice people. I know a few aren't, but most people are. So it really is. It's fascinating to me the number of that figure, the percentage figure that is broker. These are billions a year, billions and billions. And there is risk sitting in every data center. One of client that we know very well in Malta, they bought some big Cisco switches, some big Nexus switches. But they bought it from a UK partner. When they want to put a fault caller in it, Cisco said no. I said, what do you mean no? He said, well, it's not official. Not official kit. You shouldn't be having it. And all they did actually in the end, it just wasn't worth it. They just stopped using the supplier. The risk there, as it happened, it was a fault tolerant system throughout. So they carried on because they had another switch that took over. But if that was mission critical and it wasn't fault tolerant, there wasn't HA, high availability in it, they would have been in all sorts of trouble, so they wouldn't have got it replaced.
Yeah.
So not only they throw their money down, so they might have saved themselves 1,000 or 2,000, but cost themselves to rebuy it 38,000.
Indeed.
You know,
and especially on things like networking equipment, where the manufacturer grants a lifetime warranty. Usually, that lifetime warranty only goes to the first party, the first end customer who owns the goods.
Yeah.
If it's been brokered, it technically isn't. You are not the first owner in as far as the vendor is concerned, because they have a distributor, reseller, end user channel. That's the flow of how the goods work. If it goes any other route, then you're technically not in that end user category anymore. Yeah. So I know Cisco are very hot on it. They will literally provide you with no support.
Yeah.
If you can't prove that you've bought it from an official source under the lifetime warranty, they wash their hands of it.
And HP's the same with the switches, they're lifetime.
Yeah, that's it.
Quick one, I just had a question come in. Oh, Brian, good to see you, mate. Brian, this is for JP. Brian said the top 3 tips to spot brokerage, grey kit, whatever you want to call it. He says brokerage here because that's what he knows. Top 3 tips. List the 3 things to stop him buying it. Cheers for that, Brian.
I'm going to unmute. There's a bit of drilling in the background outside to talk about.
Well, you're in the office.
I know. Three tips as Brian is an end user.
Yeah. To
not buy it or to avoid it. Are they trying to? Is it tips to
avoid it?
To try and spot it.
Yeah. And then I'll tell you what. I'm going to add a question that he hasn't. After this, how do they spot if any of the stuff they've got is? And I'll pass that to JK after. So give us 3, John. JP.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I'm unsure if there is 3. It's that engagement. It's all about vendor relationships, and there's just one tip, and that is to engage and have a relationship with your vendor account manager.
So if they're buying from us, make sure that you say to us, if I'm reading this correctly, if you're saying to FGS, I'm buying from you, JP. JP, can you introduce me to the HP account manager? HP account manager. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, always ask for that introduction. It's very easy, and as we know, there's lots of account manager changes at the vendor's end, and for 6 months you might have a great relationship with someone, and then we all know that you might not get another call for another 12 months, and it's 2 or 3 people have been in that role since. But
yeah.
As a salesperson here at FGS, we do that as a matter of process. So whenever there's someone new into a role, we always make sure that they're introduced to the end user, and we instigate that conversation, that introduction. But it has to be the main tip. It has to be to engage with that account manager, because yes, you know us, you trust us, you know it's all official, but until you've spoken to that account manager at the vendor's end, there's no other guarantee. That is the only way. That is, it's my main tip. I think probably the only tip, because I think anything else is too late. I think that's the only thing that can stop it. All the other tips after are probably things that are going to help identify it, but aren't going to stop it and reduce the risk to the business. Yeah. So it genuinely is a 30-second call to the account manager or an email just to say, account manager X, please can you just confirm that partner or reseller X are aligned to or working on this opportunity for 10 Nexus switches or 10 HP Arubas, whatever it is. Just that one email, and just to get confirmation from them in writing. We can confirm that partner's working on that opportunity. Yeah, that's it then. Right. You're covered.
Yeah, exactly the way to do it. So, JK, this might be the last one before I sum up. They're concerned that the partner they're using or have historically, or say you're new into a job and actually you've come across this partner before and you're not a fan. How do you spot if you've got some, we're going to go HPE here, because this is HP event. How can you spot what you've got? What would you do? What would you physically do what would you physically do to see make sure?
Well, if it's HP equipment, we could run some of the tools that HP have got to discover the inventory, and we can get a pretty detailed output of the serial numbers being reported by the hardware devices. We can then take that list, provide that into the HPE, and they can check it through supply chain. Their systems are pretty good. They are, because it's all part of their claiming model and how they work with their distributors, and whether they pay price protection when goods go down in price. They have got pretty strong the strong ability to prove the provenance of an item all the way back to its manufacturing.
So get the serial numbers somehow, whether you just got to list them on a spreadsheet or run a tool we can run.
Yeah.
Send them to us or direct your account manager at HP, which you have now got a relationship with, guys. You now deal with the HP account manager. Send them the serial numbers and say, any chance you can check them.
Yeah.
The account managers love interaction.
Absolutely.
With the customer. So
ask the account manager to do it on a without prejudice basis. Please, we just want to double check and make sure that we're good in the environment, and they'll go and do that for you. Okay.
Right, just sum it up very quickly. You don't want broker stuff on your site. I can tell you that. That is absolutely clear. So number one, try not to get it if you can. If you're being conned into buying it, which is what I call it, people might say I'm saving you a bit of money. Don't put risk into your business. You don't really want your partner putting risk into your business without telling you about it. Sort of fraudulent, I would suggest. Check before you buy. Make sure you're dealing with the account manager. And then if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Yeah. And if you're concerned, the stuff you might have on site, you might have a look, just send a sample big enough from different orders, maybe 10 different serial numbers out. Servers are always good and easy ones to do because they're probably the biggest broken things. I don't think Aruba's broken too much. Don't see it too much.
Yeah, Aruba is.
Oh, is it?
Aruba's probably more susceptible than others because they have common switch products, right? And they're common across multiple geographies. They get bought in big quantities.
Okay, so they're the three things to do. You don't want it. How you test it? Go to the HP account manager. Make sure to introduce you. And three, if you're a little bit concerned, even if you're not concerned, it takes you 10 minutes. Get that serial numbers. Deal with the HP account manager you're dealing with. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. And we will catch up at a later date. No, I really appreciate it. All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, JK. Bye-bye.